Jack Miller stood at the edge of the crash site, dust swirling around his boots. The Arizona desert stretched in all directions, empty, except for the massive alien ship half buried in the sand. Sunrise painted the wreckage in shades of orange and gold. 6 hours ago, this ship had blazed across the night sky before crashing to Earth. Now it was Jack's problem. "Lieutenant Miller," a voice called from behind him. "The containment team is ready." Jack nodded without turning around. At 35, he had seen plenty during his military career, but nothing like this. Nobody had. A helicopter landed nearby, kicking up more dust. A woman stepped out carrying a large case of equipment. Her lab coat flapped in the wind as she approached. "Dr. Olivia Reeves," she said, extending her hand. "Xenobiology Department." Jack shook her hand. "Lieutenant Jack Miller, Engineering Corps. Looks like we're partners on this one." "Have you gone inside yet?" Olivia asked, her eyes fixed on the ship. "Waiting for you. Orders say we go in together." The ship had torn open during the crash. A jagged hole in its side offered a way in. Jack and Olivia put on protective suits and oxygen masks before approaching. "Let me go first," Jack said, activating his helmet light. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and strange smells. The corridors curved in ways that made Jack feel slightly dizzy. The walls glowed with faint blue light. "The design is unlike anything in our records," Olivia whispered, scanning everything with her devices. "This isn't human technology. Not even close." They moved deeper into the ship. Most rooms were destroyed in the crash, but the central chamber remained intact. The door was jammed. Jack used a portable laser cutter to get through. "Ready?" he asked. Olivia nodded, gripping her scanner tightly. The central chamber was larger than expected. Control panels lined the walls, showing symbols and patterns neither of them recognized. In the center lay a large figure, partially trapped under fallen equipment. "Oh my God," Olivia breathed. "It's alive." The creature was at least 7 feet tall with scaled skin in shades of green and blue. Its limbs were long and ended in clawed fingers. Its head was elongated with large, lidded eyes. As they approached, those eyes opened, deep amber with vertical pupils. The creature made a sound, somewhere between a growl and speech. "It's trying to communicate," Olivia said, slowly kneeling beside it. She pulled a translation device from her case, a prototype developed after years of studying possible alien languages. "Let's see if this works." The creature spoke again, longer this time. The device processed the sounds, then produced broken English. "Alliance. Help. Voidborn coming." Jack and Olivia exchanged looks. "Can you understand us?" Olivia asked. The creature nodded slowly. It reached for a panel on its arm and pressed several buttons. A hologram appeared above them, a 3-dimensional map of stars and planets. "My name, Krelton," the creature said through the translator. "Diplomat. Galactic Alliance." Over the next hour, through the imperfect translator and holograms, they learned the truth. Krelton was part of the Galactic Alliance, a coalition of 27 species from across the stars. For over 300 years, they had fought against the Voidborn Empire, a ruthless group determined to conquer all intelligent life. "The Alliance loses ground," Krelton explained, his words becoming clearer as the translator adjusted. "Need new allies. Found Earth, but Voidborn found too." "You're saying both sides know about us now?" Jack asked. "Yes. My ship. Reconnaissance. Attacked by Voidborn scouts." Krelton's large eyes blinked slowly. "Others died. I escaped. Crashed here." "How much time do we have?" Olivia asked. Krelton touched more controls. A new hologram showed multiple objects moving toward a blue planet, Earth. Days, maybe less. Jack contacted base immediately. Within hours, the highest levels of government were involved. The president ordered military forces to high alert. The United Nations called an emergency session. While the world's leaders argued about what to do, Jack and Olivia worked with Krelton to learn more. The aliens' health improved with each passing day. "Your people," Krelton said on the third, "taken and they are afraid." Wouldn't yours be? Jack asked. We've never met aliens before, and now we're told we're about to be pulled into a war that spans the galaxy. Krell-Tan made a sound that might have been laughter. When my people first joined Alliance, we were afraid too. But fear does not win wars. What does win wars? Olivia asked. Innovation, courage, will to survive. Krell-Tan looked at them both. Alliance has fought for centuries. Tactics become predictable. Voidborn know what to expect. On the 5th day after the crash, NASA detected multiple large objects entering the solar system. Some were heading toward Earth, others toward Mars, where humanity had established its first colony 20 years earlier. The president addressed the world that night. Fellow citizens of Earth, we are not alone in the universe, and we are not alone in our struggle for freedom. Nations that had been enemies for generations now found common ground in the face of an external threat. The Earth Defense Coalition was formed, a unified military command with representatives from every major power. Jack was promoted to captain and placed in charge of studying the alien technology from Krell-Tan's ship. Olivia led the scientific team responsible for communication and understanding alien biology. 7 days after the crash, the first Alliance ships arrived in Earth orbit. Unlike Krell-Tan's small craft, these were massive, larger than aircraft carriers. Earth's military leaders were escorted to the Alliance flagship to meet with the Supreme Commander. From the command center in Arizona, Jack and Olivia watched the first official broadcast between humans and the Alliance. The war comes to your doorstep, the Alliance commander told Earth's representatives. The Voidborn will show no mercy. They will destroy your cities, enslave your people, strip your world of resources. Then we will stop them, the American general replied. How? Your technology is primitive. Your weapons would not scratch their shields. We'll find a way. Humans always do. The Alliance commander studied the humans for a long moment. Perhaps. We offer an exchange, our technology for your soldiers. Together we might survive what comes. As night fell on the 7th day, the first Voidborn scout ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The war had arrived, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what it meant to fight with nothing left to lose. 6 months passed since the first Voidborn ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The initial attacks had been brutal but limited, testing humanity's defenses rather than launching a full invasion. With Alliance help, Earth had survived these first encounters. Now Frank Rogers wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the engine core. The massive room hummed with energy. Blue light pulsed through clear tubes running along the walls. This technology was like nothing humans had created before. Chief Rogers, we need your approval on the weapons system, called a voice from behind him. Frank turned to see his assistant, a young engineer named Peter Wright. 6 months ago, Peter had been designing car engines. Now he was helping build starships. Give me 5 minutes, Frank replied. I think I've almost got the power distribution figured out. The Alliance had built a base on Earth's moon. There they shared technology with humanity in exchange for military support. Frank led the team adapting this alien tech to human needs. It wasn't easy. The learning curve was steep, but humans had shown remarkable ability to understand and improve upon the designs. The ship they were working on, the EDS Defiant, was almost ready for its first mission. EDS stood for Earth Defense Ship. The Defiant was smaller than Alliance vessels but faster and more maneuverable. Frank had modified the shield generators in ways the Alliance engineers said were impossible, yet they worked better than the originals. The captain is here, Peter said, returning to the engine room. She wants to inspect the ship before tomorrow's launch. Captain Nicole Bishop walked with purpose as she entered. At 40, she had spent half her life in the Navy before being chosen to command humanity's first true starship. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed despite the long hours she'd been working. Chief Rogers, she said with a nod. Will my ship be ready to fly tomorrow? Frank smiled. She'll do more than fly, Captain. She'll dance. Nicole followed Frank through the ship as he explained the modifications his team had made. Standard crew quarters had been redesigned for human comfort. The control systems now used interfaces humans could understand. The weapons had been adjusted to match human reaction times. And this, Frank said as they entered the bridge, is where you'll make history. The bridge was smaller than those on Alliance ships. Everything was within easy reach. The captain's chair sat in the center, with stations for navigation, weapons, engineering, and communications arranged in a semicircle around it. Nicole ran her hand along the captain's chair. "She's beautiful, Frank." "The Alliance thinks we're crazy," Frank admitted. "They say we've changed too much, taken too many risks." "The Alliance has been fighting the same way for centuries," Nicole replied. "And they've been losing. Maybe it's time for something new." The next morning, the crew of the Defiant gathered for launch. Besides Nicole, there was communications specialist Alan Kelly, a former linguistics professor who had an amazing talent for learning alien languages. Weapons officer Maria Diaz stood at her station, running final checks on the targeting systems. Navigator Paul Bennett studied the planned route on his screens. "All systems ready, Captain," Frank reported from the engineering station. Nicole took her seat. "Communications. Inform Alliance Command we're ready for departure." Alan spoke into his headset, his words flowing in the musical language of the Alliance. After a moment, he nodded. "Command wishes us good hunting." "Navigation, take us out," Nicole ordered. The Defiant lifted from its dock, engines glowing bright blue. Earth grew smaller behind them as they accelerated toward the stars. Their mission was simple but important: escort an Alliance supply convoy through a region of space known to have void-born patrols. The Alliance considered it a safe first assignment. Nicole wasn't so sure. 3 days into the journey, they joined the Alliance convoy, 5 large transport ships escorted by 2 Alliance cruisers. The Alliance ships were much bigger than the Defiant, their hulls covered in the distinctive silver-blue armor that all Alliance vessels shared. "Captain," Alan called from his station. "The Alliance commander welcomes us but suggests we take position at the rear of the formation. They believe it will be safer for us." Nicole frowned. "Inform the commander that we appreciate the concern, but we'll take the forward scouting position as planned." The journey continued peacefully for another day. Then, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple contacts," Paul shouted. 5 void-born vessels approaching fast from Sector 7. "Red alert," Nicole ordered calmly. "Weapons online, shields at maximum." On the main screen, they could see the void-born ships, angular black vessels with red energy flowing through patterns on their hulls. They moved with predatory grace, spreading out to surround the convoy. "The Alliance commander is ordering us to fall back behind their cruisers," Alan reported. Nicole stood. "Negative. Maria, target the lead void-born ship. Paul, plot an intercept course." "Captain," Frank warned from engineering, "the Alliance simulations say we can't win a direct engagement." "The simulations don't know what we can do," Nicole replied. "Execute my orders." The Defiant shot forward, engines pushing beyond Alliance safety protocols. The Void-born, surprised by this unexpected move, adjusted their formation. "They're firing," Maria called. Red energy beams lanced toward the Defiant. Nicole had studied Void-born attack patterns for months. "Evasive pattern Delta," she ordered. The Defiant rolled and twisted in ways the larger Alliance ships could never manage. Most of the enemy fire missed. What hit was absorbed by the modified shields. "Return fire," Nicole commanded. The weapons Frank had modified delivered surprising power. The Defiant's beams cut through the Void-born ship's shields in areas where Nicole had noticed weaknesses in the pattern. Behind them, the Alliance cruisers moved to protect the transports, but they were clearly surprised by the Defiant's actions. "Their lead ship is disabled," Maria reported with excitement. "Shields failing on their second vessel." "Press the advantage," Nicole ordered. "Target their weapons systems." The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, 2 void-born ships had been destroyed. The others retreated, damaged and disorganized. As they returned to the convoy, the Alliance commander's face appeared on their screen. His reptilian features showed what humans had learned to recognize as shock. "Your tactics were unconventional," he said. Nicole smiled. Unconventional seems to work. That evening, as the Defiant continued escort duty, Alliance communications channels buzzed with news of the battle. No new species had ever achieved such a victory in their first engagement with the Voidborn. The humans fought differently, they thought differently, and most importantly, they weren't afraid. Across Alliance space, a new feeling began to spread: hope. 1 year had passed since humanity joined the war. Earth's forces had suffered losses, but they had also gained unexpected victories. The Voidborn, who at first saw humans as merely another weak species, now considered them a serious threat. Commander Ryan Cooper crouched behind a fallen metal beam. The air smelled of burnt wires and strange chemicals. Red emergency lights cast long shadows through the corridor of the Voidborn communications hub. Beside him, 5 other humans waited in silence. They wore black armor with no insignia. Ghost Squad, Earth's elite special forces team. Status report, Ryan whispered into his helmet comm. Team 2 in position at the power junction, came the reply from Susan Martinez, his second in command. Ready to move on your signal. Team 3 has reached the main server room, reported Kyle Daniels. But we have a problem. Security is heavier than expected, at least 8 guards with energy shields. Ryan frowned. Intelligence had said there would be minimal security in that section. The mission was becoming more complicated by the minute. Change of plans, he decided. Team 3, hold position. Susan, delay the power junction operation. I'm coming to you first. He signaled to the 2 soldiers with him, and they moved swiftly through the dimly lit corridors. Their footsteps made no sound thanks to special boots developed using Alliance technology. The Voidborn facility was massive, a space station orbiting a dead planet. Its purpose was to relay communications and coordinate Voidborn fleet movements across 3 star systems. If they could disable it, Alliance forces could move undetected for days, maybe weeks. When they reached Team 2's position, Ryan saw why Susan had been concerned. The power junction was protected by an energy field they hadn't expected. Standard Alliance approach would be to abort the mission, Susan said quietly. Too many unknown variables. Ryan studied the junction. Good thing we're not Alliance then. From his pack, he removed several small devices, simple explosives made on Earth, not the high-tech weapons the Alliance provided. The Alliance soldiers were brave and well-trained, but they followed strict procedures. They lacked the creativity and improvisation that humans excelled at. We can't get through that shield with Alliance tech, Ryan explained as he worked. But we don't need to. See those cooling pipes along the ceiling? They run outside the shielded area. Susan nodded, understanding his plan immediately. Damage the cooling system, and they'll have to lower the shield to prevent a meltdown, Ryan finished. Basic engineering. He attached the explosives to the pipes at strategic points. They weren't powerful enough to destroy the station, just enough to create a problem that would require immediate attention. Everyone clear the area, Ryan ordered. Meet at checkpoint Delta in 10 minutes. After his team moved to safety, Ryan triggered the explosives. The dull thuds of the explosions were followed by the hiss of escaping coolant. Alarms began to sound throughout the facility. As predicted, the Voidborn technicians quickly lowered the energy shield to access the damaged cooling system. As soon as the shield dropped, Susan's team moved in. They placed Alliance EMP devices on the main power conduits, then retreated. Team 3, situation report, Ryan called as he moved toward the server room. Guards are distracted by the alarms, Kyle responded. But we still can't reach the main server. Hold position. I have another idea. When Ryan reached Team 3, he could see the problem. The server room had multiple levels of security, all still active despite the cooling system. Emergency. A direct assault would trigger lockdown protocols. Ryan reached into his pack again and pulled out a small drone, a hybrid of human and Alliance technology. He input commands through his wrist computer. This isn't in the mission parameters, Kyle said nervously. Parameters change, we adapt, Ryan replied. The drone was small enough to fit through the ventilation system. Ryan guided it through the narrow ducts until it reached the server room. Through the drone's camera, he could see the Voidborn guards, tall, armored figures, with weapons ready. Instead of attacking, Ryan directed the drone to a maintenance panel. The drone attached itself and began uploading a virus created by Earth's best programmers. It wasn't as elegant as Alliance software, but it was unpredictable. Something the Voidborn wouldn't expect. EMP devices ready, Susan reported from the power junction. Hold for my signal, Ryan replied. He watched through the drone's camera as the virus spread through the Voidborn system. Warning lights began flashing on their control panels. The guards moved frantically, trying to stop whatever was happening. Now, Susan, trigger the EMP. The lights throughout the facility flickered and died. Emergency power came on seconds later, but by then the damage was done. The virus had locked the Voidborn out of their own systems, and the EMP had fried key components. All teams move to extraction point, Ryan ordered. As they made their way through the now chaotic facility, Ryan received a transmission from their support ship in orbit. Commander Cooper, Alliance fleet confirms the communication hub is dark. They're commencing operations in all 3 star systems. Whatever you did worked better than expected. Ryan smiled as he led his team toward the hidden shuttle. Tell them it was a team effort. 2 days later, Ryan stood before the Alliance High Command. The large chamber was filled with representatives from 27 species. At the center sat the Supreme Commander, an ancient being from one of the founding Alliance worlds. Commander Cooper, the Supreme Commander spoke, his words translated through Ryan's earpiece. Your mission has allowed us to reclaim 3 star systems. The Voidborn fleet was completely unprepared for our attack. Ryan stood at attention. My team did what was necessary, sir. Your methods were unorthodox, one of the other commanders noted. Alliance Special Forces would never have attempted such a risky approach. With respect, Ryan replied. That's why the Voidborn didn't expect it. The Supreme Commander made a sound that Ryan had learned was laughter. Indeed, this is the human element that has changed our war. For centuries, we have fought the Voidborn using the same tactics, the same approaches. We became predictable. He stood, towering over Ryan. From this day forward, all Alliance Special Forces will begin training with human instructors. Your unpredictability, your adaptability, these are weapons as powerful as any in our arsenal. As Ryan left the chamber, his communication device signaled an incoming message. It was from Dr. Olivia Reeves back on Earth. Ryan, I've made a breakthrough in understanding Voidborn biology. Her excited voice came through. There's a weakness we never knew existed, something in their cellular structure that reacts to a specific frequency. We're developing a weapon now. This could change everything. Ryan looked out a viewing port at the stars. For the first time since the war began, he felt real hope. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The message ended with a warning. The Voidborn Supreme Command has designated humanity as their priority target. They're planning something big, a direct assault on Earth. They believe if they eliminate humans, the Alliance will lose its new advantage. Ryan's jaw tightened. The real test was coming, but humanity had never backed down from a fight, and they wouldn't start now. The Voidborn attack on Earth began at dawn. Their ships appeared like dark clouds against the morning sky. Orbital defense stations fired constantly, their beams cutting through space. But for every Voidborn ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. Captain Nicole Bishop stood on the bridge of the EDS Intrepid, Earth's most advanced flagship. Through the view screen, she watched the largest space battle in human history unfold. Alliance ships fought alongside Earth vessels, but they were outnumbered. Damage report, Nicole called, steadying herself as the ship shook from a nearby explosion. Shields at 60%, reported her first officer, Sam Warren. Minor damage to decks 3 and 4. All weapon systems still operational. Nicole studied the tactical display. The Voidborn fleet had formed a classic pincer movement, trying to surround Earth's defenses. It was a strategy they had used for centuries against the Alliance. They expect us to react like the Alliance would, Nicole said, more to herself than to her crew. To fall back and defend in layers. She tapped her communications panel. "This is Captain Bishop to all Earth vessels. Implement Miller Doctrine, Pattern 5. The Miller Doctrine, named after Lieutenant Jack Miller, was a set of combat principles that combined human unpredictability with Alliance technology. Pattern 5 was particularly aggressive. Instead of retreating, Earth ships would push forward directly into the enemy formation. "Captain," Sam warned, "we'll be exposed if we break formation with the Alliance." "The Voidborn are counting on us to stay in formation," Nicole replied. "That's exactly why we won't." The Intrepid surged forward, followed by 30 other Earth vessels. They accelerated to maximum speed, aiming straight for the center of the Voidborn fleet. The enemy ships, confused by this unexpected move, broke their careful formation to respond. "Target their command ships," Nicole ordered. "Full power to forward shields." The battle intensified as Earth ships cut through the Voidborn formation, like a knife. Alliance vessels, seeing the strategy work, began to follow the humans' lead. The careful Voidborn attack plan fell into chaos. On Earth's surface, the situation was more dire. Voidborn dropships had landed in major cities. Buildings burned as civilians fled to underground shelters. In Washington, D.C., Commander Ryan Cooper led Ghost Squad through the ruins of the National Mall. The Washington Monument had fallen, and the Capitol building was heavily damaged. "Team 1 report," Ryan called into his comm unit. "We've secured the east perimeter," came Susan's voice. "Civilians are evacuating through the subway tunnels." "Team 2? "Heavy resistance at the White House," Kyle responded, the sound of weapons fire in the background. "Voidborn are setting up some kind of device. It looks like a gravity weapon." Ryan checked his tactical map. Similar reports were coming in from cities around the world. The Voidborn weren't just attacking. They were trying to establish control points with advanced technology. "All Ghost Squad units' priority targets are those devices," Ryan ordered. "Whatever they're building, we can't let them finish." Ryan's team moved through the ruins of the city, using rubble for cover. Alliance soldiers moved alongside them, but they were slow and methodical. The humans darted from position to position, taking risks the Alliance troops wouldn't consider. When they reached the White House grounds, Ryan could see the Voidborn device, a tall metal structure with pulsing red energy flowing through it. 6 Voidborn soldiers guarded it, their black armor making them look like shadows in the smoke. "Standard approach won't work," Ryan told his team. "Too many guards, no cover." He looked at the damaged White House, then at the Voidborn device. An idea formed. Risky, but potentially effective. "Cover me," he said, then ran toward the White House before anyone could object. Inside the damaged building, Ryan found what he was looking for, a structural support beam that had partially collapsed. He placed 3 explosive charges at key points, then retreated. "Everyone clear the area," he ordered through his comm. When the explosives detonated, the weakened section of the White House collapsed, directly onto the Voidborn device and its guards. The device sparked and exploded, sending a shockwave that knocked Ryan off his feet. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. Human special forces, using unconventional tactics, targeted the Voidborn technology. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective. In space, the battle reached its climax. Nicole's strategy had broken the Voidborn formation, but the Intrepid had taken heavy damage in the process. Fires burned on 3 decks, and the shields were failing. "Captain, we can't take much more," Sam warned. Nicole studied the tactical display. The Voidborn flagship, a massive black vessel 3 times the size of the Intrepid, remained at the rear of their fleet, protected by dozens of smaller ships. "Engineering, can we overload the drive systems?" she asked. Chief Engineer Frank Rogers' voice came through, shocked. "Overload the drives? That would create a temporary wormhole effect, but we'd lose control of the ship completely. Could it pull nearby ships into a collision course?" There was a pause as Frank realized what she was planning. "Yes, but Captain, that's suicide." "Not if we time it right," Nicole said. "Prepare the escape pods, get as many crew off as possible." Despite protests from her officers, Nicole ordered the Intrepid to push deeper into the Voidborn fleet, straight toward their flagship. As they approached, she ordered all remaining power diverted to the drive systems. "Begin overload sequence," she commanded. "Set it for 2 minutes. That should give us time to reach the escape pods." The Intrepid's engines began to glow bright, blue then white as they pushed far beyond safety limits. The ship shuddered violently as it accelerated toward the Voidborn flagship. "All hands abandon ship," Nicole ordered. "This is not a drill." She stayed on the bridge until the last moment, ensuring the ship stayed on course. With 30 seconds remaining, she finally ran for the last escape pod. The Intrepid's drives reached critical overload just as it passed between 3 Voidborn capital ships. Space itself seemed to twist and bend. A blue-white vortex formed, a temporary wormhole that pulled the nearby Voidborn vessels into each other. The resulting collision and explosion created a chain reaction through the enemy fleet. Ships crashed into each other as the localized gravity distortion pulled them together. At the same moment, on the Voidborn flagship, Commander Ryan Cooper's team had infiltrated through a docking bay. They fought their way to the central life support system, where they uploaded Dr. Reeves's biological weapon, a virus that affected only Voidborn physiology. The combination of Nicole's tactic and Ryan's mission created confusion throughout the Voidborn command structure. Their carefully planned assault fell apart. Alliance and Earth forces pressed the advantage, turning what had seemed like certain defeat into an unexpected victory. The remaining Voidborn ships retreated, abandoning their ground forces. As Nicole watched from her escape pod, the Voidborn fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving Earth's orbit. For the first time in the war, the Voidborn had suffered a major defeat. The battle was over. Earth had survived, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, the Alliance Grand Council gathered for an emergency session. The massive circular chamber on the Alliance capital world glowed with soft blue light. Representatives from 27 species sat in rising tiers around the central platform. For the first time in history, humans were invited as honored guests. Jack Miller, now a general, stood with Captain Nicole Bishop, Commander Ryan Cooper, Dr. Olivia Reeves, and Chief Engineer Frank Rogers. They wore formal Earth Defense Coalition uniforms with new medals that still felt strange on their chests. The Supreme Commander of the Alliance rose from his seat. His ancient, scaled face was solemn as he addressed the Council. "For 300 years we have fought the Voidborn Empire," he began, his deep voice echoing in the chamber. "For 300 years we have lost ground, lost worlds, lost hope. But today, we stand at a turning point." He gestured toward the humans. 1 year ago, a new species joined our fight. Many doubted their value. Some questioned my decision to share our technology with them. Now none can question. The Battle of Earth was our greatest victory in a century. Across the chamber, representatives nodded in agreement. News had spread quickly throughout Alliance space. The Voidborn, after their defeat at Earth, faced internal problems. Intelligence reports indicated that the Voidborn Supreme Commander had been executed for failure. Now other high-ranking Voidborn fought among themselves for power. But this victory brought more than battlefield success, the Supreme Commander continued. It brought hope to worlds that had forgotten what hope feels like. Reports from Voidborn territory indicate that several subjugated species have begun to rebel. They have heard what happened at Earth. They know that the Voidborn can be defeated. Jack listened with mixed emotions. Earth had won, but at great cost. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had died. The recovery would take years. The human delegation may approach, the Supreme Commander announced. Jack led his team forward to the central platform. From this position, they could see every representative in the chamber. Some species were humanoid, others completely alien in appearance. All watched, the humans with intense interest. "General Miller, on behalf of the Alliance, I extend our profound gratitude," the Supreme Commander said. "Today, we formally recognize Earth as a senior member world of the Galactic Alliance." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Senior member status was unprecedented for a species so new to interstellar politics. Usually, it took decades to achieve such standing. Furthermore, the Supreme Commander continued, We acknowledge that our methods of warfare must change. For too long we have fought predictably, cautiously. The humans have shown us a new way. He turned to Nicole. Captain Bishop, your tactical innovations will be studied at Alliance military academies. The Miller Doctrine will become standard training for all fleet commanders. To Ryan, he said, Commander Cooper, your special forces techniques have already been implemented in Alliance training programs. Your instructors are teaching our soldiers to think differently, to adapt. To Olivia, Dr. Reeves, your biological weapon has given us an advantage we never thought possible. Alliance scientists will work with you to develop it further. And finally to Frank. Chief Rogers, your engineering modifications have revolutionized our understanding of our own technology. Sometimes it takes fresh eyes to see new possibilities. The Supreme Commander raised his arms, addressing the entire council again. From this day forward, human officers will help lead our combined forces. Joint training programs will be established on all major Alliance worlds. Jack stepped forward to respond. He had prepared a formal speech, but looking at the assembled representatives, he decided on a different approach. The Alliance welcomed us when we needed help most, he said simply. Earth will not forget that. We may fight differently than you. We may think differently, but our goals are the same: freedom, peace, and the right of all species to determine their own future. As the formal ceremony concluded, Jack and his team moved to a private chamber where Alliance military leaders waited to discuss the next phase of the war. We are preparing the first major offensive into Voidborn territory, the Alliance fleet commander explained, showing a holographic map of nearby star systems. A combined fleet, Alliance ships with human tactical officers aboard each vessel. Nicole studied the map. The Voidborn will expect us to be cautious to secure each system before moving to the next. But we won't do that, Ryan added. We'll hit multiple systems simultaneously, keep them off balance. The Alliance commanders looked uncomfortable with this aggressive approach, but they nodded in agreement. The Battle of Earth had proven the effectiveness of human tactics. That evening, after the meetings ended, Jack stood on a balcony overlooking the Alliance capital city. The alien architecture was beautiful, towering spires that seemed to float without support, connected by bridges of light. After a year in space, he was getting used to the strange and wonderful. Olivia joined him, leaning against the railing.
Intelligence reports came in while we were in the council meeting, she said. Voidborn communications have been intercepted. They have a new phrase spreading through their ranks. Beware the Earthborn. Jack smiled slightly. They should be
afraid. It's more than fear, Olivia said. It's respect, something they've never shown to any species before. The next morning, the combined fleet prepared to depart. Jack and his team stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship. Through the viewport, they could see hundreds of ships. Alliance vessels, sleek in silver blue, Earth ships more angular and practical. Together, they formed the largest offensive force the Alliance had assembled in generations. The Alliance Admiral and Jack stood side by side, looking at the holographic display of Voidborn space. Are you ready, General Miller? The Admiral asked. Jack nodded. Earth has been on the defensive since this war began. Now it's our turn. Throughout the galaxy, the news spread through official channels and whispered conversations. The species that turned the tide, the warriors who fear no defeat, the innovators who see possibilities where others see only obstacles. Humanity has joined the war, and nothing will ever be the same again. As the massive fleet jumped to faster than light speed, Jack thought about how far humanity had come in just 1 year. From a single crashed ship in the Arizona desert to a force that made the galaxy tremble. The war was far from over. Hard battles lay ahead. But for the first time in centuries, victory seemed possible, not just for Earth, but for all free species across the stars. The Voidborn had ruled through fear for too long. Now they would learn what it meant to be afraid.